It's a Gottlieb top card. It's the next candidate up for some work. Let's see here. That works. I think that's a ball count unit on this machine. Looks like the credit unit functions okay. Let's check the score reels. Yeah, that works. Yeah, that baby's frozen solid. Probably a cooked coil. Looks like one coil, that'd be 1, 10, 100. Probably the hundreds coil is burned up. Let's look at the rest of the machine. All right, so first thing I notice is this pop bumper here is locked in the down position. It's like the other ones are loose. Somebody peeled out the pop bumper rings. We got a bunch of wear on those. I have to put new mylar on those. I notice way up here this star rollover is down, and I'm wondering if that switch being down all the time is what cooked the coil. And actually that was a hundreds coil, not the tens. This machine has, the 4 coils are 10, 100, 1000, 10,000. Let's open it up inside and take a look. Looks like we've got 2 switches missing. Light box, light fuse, 10 amp, 25 volt fuse, 10 amp. So no coils are going to be working right now. And we'll check the rest of the fuses. There are a couple others, make sure they're the right size. And here's that pop bumper that's frozen tight. It looks like that coil cooked. Way up here, looks like the left flipper end of stroke switch has been bent out of the way. Looking at this dark coil over here, here's a normal coil. I've got the ohm meter on it. It's at 1.8 ohms. Let's switch over to the black coil and take a look. Okay, there it is, completely 0 ohms, dead short, so that coil probably is what was blowing fuses. So then how about that frozen coil? I hooked up to a normal coil that's showing about 3.5 ohms. Let's switch over to that coil that's locked up tight and see what it has. Yeah, this one is showing an open, so that coil appears to be fried to the point where it opened up. Well, I didn't really want to get into Playfield restoration, but this one's got quite a bit of planking on it. Here, 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 here. I may try touching up with paint and then experiment with mylar or wax, I don't know. I just don't want to do the full auto clear coat. Alright, so I did end up deciding to try to touch up the Playfield. Use a standard dab it on, wipe it off method. Figured that if I've got the paint down in the cracks and the divots, that if I wax over the top of it, the odds of that paint coming off should be low as long as I keep it waxed. And I think the red down here is where I did probably some of the better work. And then some of the light blue is okay, some of it not so good, but I'm going to wax it and see how it looks. I didn't want to put mylar on. I didn't want to clear coat it. I wanted to try to keep it as close to original as possible. So I'm going to put some mylar pop bumper rings down. Yeah, while I'm waiting for this wax to cure, dry up, here's a plastic, and you can see right here, this is broken. This is on the left plastic by the flipper. And here's one that on the right side, and you can see the difference there. I'll put them up there on the dark background. So I bought some polycarbonate. I'm going to trace this out on the polycarbonate and then drill the holes and cut it out and see if I can just have a replacement plastic. This sits underneath. It's a 2-level plastic on. So I wanted to show another backglass. I've had some pretty good success scanning backglass and then using Photoshop to touch it up. See the part of the backglass that's lit up has a lot of flaking on the oranges throughout, some of the yellows, the reds. What I'm going to try something different. I scanned this in and I just took the lit part and I sent it out for a decal, a clear permanent decal. And I'm going to see if I can apply that decal to the back to replace the missing paint, but without trying to hand paint it, because it doesn't work very well. Now the only question I've got is, you can see here, hopefully it shows up on the video, the red still has flecks in it. And I'm worried that if I apply a red decal right behind that, it's going to look mottled with the light on it. So I'll probably take this decal that I got and cut into little tiny sections and try just applying a couple small ones to see, does it look too mottled. If it does, then what I might have to do is actually remove the old paint before I apply the decal. I kind of would like to avoid doing that just because there's no going back once you do that. So change the plan on the top card. You can see on the areas where the paint has really disappeared, flaked off, there are just little remnants of paint. And I'm going to scrape those off with an X-Acto knife before I apply triple thick, just because I already know it's going to look mottled if I put that decal over it. And it's not connected to the bulk of the backglass screening. So I should be able to very easily take that stuff off without damaging the rest of the backglass. I want to show just how remarkably easy it is to remove this backglass paint. I have a razor blade here, just an X-Acto knife. I have no pressure at all on it. It just comes right off. All I'm doing is kind of gently scratching with the blade, and the paint just comes immediately off. So be very careful if you're doing this, because it'd be very easy to cut into these other parts. But you can see I've done the heart here. See the dust. I'll get that with some Windex. I'm just going to do these open areas to get rid of the spidery remaining paint. So here's after quite a bit of cleanup. You can see you got rid of a lot of the flecking on the reds, the suits and stuff. I'm trying to decide now about these yellow bands and circles. That's going to be a lot of risk there, that if I mess that up, it's going to look bad. Not sure what I'm going to do there, but the red's looking pretty good. So working on painting, I was going to try my decal method, but the decal wasn't quite scaled exactly right and it would have looked weird. So I'm going back to the Backglass Touchup. I'm using Createx transparent paint. This is actually Sunset Red, which is almost an exact match for the color I need on the orange on this main part of the backglass. You can see like I did these suits, hearts and diamonds, and they match these hearts and diamonds here and here. And then you can see I've done all the orange of the king, and starting on the queen on her hat and sleeve. I got to do her bodice and a couple other spots, and then I got to do his crown. And then I also pulled some of the yellow off that was really bad. I'm going to put some yellow Createx on there. And I'm trying to decide what to do with the rest of the yellow here, because that's some really fine detail. I may put it in the machine with just the big sections done and see how it looks, and then decide if I'm going to keep going or not. I suspect I'm going to keep going, but we'll see. Looks good so far though right now. Alright, so here's the touched up version. You can see I put yellow and orange is all I messed with. And you can also see some of the flaking here in the yellow that I didn't decide to touch up. And the reason for that is, if you look at it, it actually looks pretty good. The yellow looks worse outside of the light box. I'll put it in the back box so you can see what it looks like. And of course, you can see some flaking here. But again, in the back box, it doesn't look too bad.